Hello. Hi, everybody. All right, we should be live. I'm just going to wait for it to show up on YouTube.
I got a notification.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So
Okay.
did I.
Oh, okay. I see an ad popping up, so we're moving the right direction. All right. I think we're almost there. Okay, I see it. Hi, everybody. We're here to talk about Stone Sky, final book in the trilogy. Hey, Beth. Erica should be back in anytime. Laura was unable to make it, and Ashley, I think, didn't quite make it to book 3. She's which is fine. One day. So I don't know if you guys want to. I feel like most of us have been on here. I guess I don't know if we should wait for Erica. Hey, everybody in the comments, how did you do with this one? I guess we could start there. Hi, Jessica and Jessica's mom. Hey, Beth. How did everybody feel about book 3? And I mean, I guess we could go around and then Erica can hop in when she comes back. Just like go clockwise.
Okay.
Ingrid.
Me? Okay, fine. I thought you were gonna start.
No, I always go last.
Okay. So I love this one. I'm glad I love this one. Like I love the first one. So I really loved the conclusion. I think she did an amazing job, like tying everything in. It was just awesome.
Yay. Okay. Erica.
Hello.
If you want to introduce yourself, and then also, how did you do with Stone Sky? Have you read this before? I don't know.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Erica from the Broken Spine, and I've not read The Stone Sky before. This is my first time. So I reread the 5th season, and The Obelisk Gate and The Stone Sky were my first time. So, yeah. What would I rate it? I don't know, because I finished it yesterday. So, I'm still thinking, but it's definitely going to be at least a 4 to 5.
Okay, cool.
I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. I think the middle book is probably my favorite, but all 3 were 5 stars for me. Yeah. You and me.
Yeah, I like the third one too, but the second one is just like the introduction of all the angst and Nastin's character. So that one I think is probably my favorite of the trilogy. But yeah, this was a really good conclusion for me. This was my second read, and there was definitely things I had missed even on like the first read. Like a lot of stuff in the final chapter just went over my head because I wasn't really paying attention. I was just like, "Oh, we're here." So that was an experience.
Yeah.
For me, like I literally just finished the book maybe an hour ago. And out of all 3 books, I think the second one was the best one for me. Like I love the book, but the only thing I didn't like was the chapters were so long, and like there was a lot of descriptions like going on throughout the entire chapter. So it was like sometimes I would go back because I felt like I missed something. There's just a lot of stuff happening within the chapters, but I did enjoy it. I would still give it like a 4 out of 5 for me.
Cool. Yeah, so this was my second read through, and similarly, there were things that I'd either missed or like forgotten from the first time. So that was definitely it was fun to read it again. I loved it. I mean, it's a 5-star read for me. All of them are. I still think the first book is my favorite, but I do really love all of them. Yeah, like so much happens in this book.
I know.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like
I missed some things. Like I was
We can
just
talk. It's okay. That's why we're gonna talk.
That's how I felt when I was like I said when I tell you like how long and lengthy like each step was. I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm missing something, and I would go back because there's so much stuff it's just giving to you all at once. And I'm like, man, a lot.
It is a lot. Yeah, I agree. There were like things I remembered and things that I was like, oh, I don't think I remember that part. So it looks like people in the chat liked it. Yes, resolution, conclusion. And I guess I am also curious for those of you where it was your first time, like how much you were surprised by things.
I don't think I was surprised. I like looking at it as like being a mother. I wasn't surprised because I would have done the same things at in the end of the book. So
okay.
Yeah. I think I was surprised. I don't know. I just loved how at the end, the way she explains like magic and science, how it kind of all like blends together really well. Like I wasn't expecting, and I wasn't expecting. Can I talk in spoilers already? Are we gonna jump like right in?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, because I wasn't expecting like all the guardians. They were the people in horror story that were kind of like trying to take all the world's power or whatever, and they were punished. Like I don't know, maybe I just wasn't, I missed the whole thing because like I was not expecting that. And yeah, and that puts them like as old as Hoa is, right? They just can't remember what happened.
Or at least
said
some
the
of
first
them.
generation was
Right.
gone. He said the first generation was long gone, but that good old what's his face Shafa was significantly older than average.
Okay.
Yeah.
But not original.
Because we know that also the children of origins could become guardians
if they don't have origin powers, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But then who makes them? Like who creates them is my question.
The Fulcrum, I think, or somebody.
Yeah. Well,
I
so
guess. Yeah.
Are you talking about the Guardians or the Stonians?
Guardians.
The Guardians.
So
well,
I think
aren't they born of either origins, or they like Demaya, as far as she knows that, or Esun, as far as she knows that neither one of her parents were origins. So I would imagine that.
But the Guardians select from the children of origins who don't have orogeny. So I think what happens is that the Earth kind of creates them, like because remember there was like the machine that the Earth was using to like
the iron piece, right? That
to
they
remove the piece. So that's what
Yeah.
makes them guardians is that piece getting inserted into them.
The core stone,
The core stone. Yeah.
I thought it was a very interesting tie-in. I thought it was really interesting that that's what almost happened to Tonki. I don't know if that's how you say their name.
Yeah.
But in the second book, I was like, holy crap, we almost got a guardian right in the middle of Kastrima or whatever it was.
Oh, well, here you go.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's so interesting.
What else? I don't know. I just loved hearing like Hoa's story. That I think that's why I like this book as much as I like the first one. I think I'm like our thoughts different. I think most of you guys really like the second one, and that was my least favorite, as opposed to like I loved the first one and I really liked the conclusion.
I agree. I think I was happy getting to know more about Hoa. Like at first he was like a mystery, but knowing, his journey and stuff, and then with Kalinli, I thought that was a nice touch to it.
I just always think it's such an interesting twist on a very typical trope you get in sci-fi, right? Which is like the creation of artificial intelligence in some way, because they're not artificial, but they're sort of like biologically engineered, so it's kind of like that. And then they like take over. So it's like it's interesting. Like, be careful what you create, or be careful what you try to like make less than human.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I get it, they were trying to make them emotionless, but then that didn't happen. So I don't know what they would have expected, you know what I mean, from it. Them going against what the conductors whatever. So I don't know.
And I like how she used the words like conductor and like tuners, like almost like musical. I thought that was kind of cool too, because they were like tuned in together. Yeah.
And go ahead. I'm sorry.
That was the end of my thought. I say a lot of ums.
So now that you said that, now I'm saying But anyway, so I like the way, because the conductors and the tuners are kind of like the guardians and the origins. That's how I equated them.
I think that's what happened, right? Like the tuners are descendants of the origins, and the conductors are the ones that were turned into guardians, I think, by Earth.
No.
Well, wasn't
No. No.
They were turned into
Oh yeah,
stone eaters.
The
they were
tuners didn't have descendants until after they were stone eaters, but it was that first prototype that was more human. I think she's the mother of all origins,
Kinley, right?
basically.
Yeah.
She was the first prototype with Gallet or whatever.
Yeah.
And she was having them live.
So was
pregnant,
it Gallet's baby too? That was the
Probably.
impression that I got.
That's probably.
That's what it seemed like.
So they were raised as siblings, found out they weren't siblings, and then I feel like it was indicated that he was kind of forcing the relationship.
That's definitely what it seemed like. Yeah. Yeah.
And that argument that they had out in the garden, I wonder if it was because Hoa was like, I couldn't hear what they were saying, but their body language. And then she like put her hand over her stomach. And I wonder if that had something to do. I don't remember that argument being ferreted out.
Yeah, I don't.
I remember that.
Particulars.
I remember it, but I don't know.
I finished it today, so
Yeah.
all the later stuff is really relevant.
So this is an interesting question. How did you guys feel about the Syl Anagus chapters?
I got a little bored, just a little bit. Just a little bit.
I kind of did too. I was like, oh no, not another one.
That's so funny. They're some of my favorites.
Me
Like,
too.
I love those chapters.
Me too.
Those are my favorite chapters.
They were. Oh my goodness. Oh, no.
I was really interested, but so I wasn't bored or anything. But I also am not a fan of reading before the tragedy that occurred. I'm always like, oh, look at them. They're fine and they don't know what's about to hit them. So that's just like not my favorite. But I found them interesting.
I love the backstory, like getting the history of like, okay, where did this all start? And
yeah, I think like the Syl Anagus chapters and the chapters where Nassen's like finding the ruins were like my favorite, because it felt like we were like finally understanding what was going on.
Yeah,
and just like interesting, all like these clues that were left, I guess, in the modern day.
I had forgotten the details of what the briar patch was, and I was still just as horrified reading that the second time around. I was like, oh my god, yeah.
When I got to that part, I was like, what?
Yeah.
And I reread it because I thought I was reading something wrong. And I wasn't. Yeah.
No.
It was such an interesting contrast to their slogan too of life is sacred.
Yeah.
And that being what they were doing.
That juxtaposition is so interesting, that like it is sacred because they use it to survive.
But not even survive. It was like it was powering luxuries rather than survival. Which is always the way people do.
Okay, so I'm curious, like, if anybody else read this the same way. So like I've always read those chapters as being like Earth's far future from us, where like we finally figured out how to be more environmentally friendly and like do all the things we're supposed to do, and yet there's still these things that happen like that. And what's interesting to me about it is that the way that it's explained is that like it flips. I don't know if that's what it's supposed to be, but it does say evil Earth. But it's interesting that it's like it, like, is it supposed to be set in Africa because the people who run everything are all darker? I don't know. I just like, it's so interesting. I'm like, what's the backstory that we don't like, you know?
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know, maybe I read this the wrong way. Like I know when Nessun and we have Shafa and Steel go to some ruins or something like that, and they talk about this city, this huge city, and I'm like, okay, what city are they speaking of? At first I'm like, oh, is this New York City? Because it's like well known. I'm like, maybe not. And I'm like, I don't know, I just wondered where they were because it's like a huge city.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. It's like the Matrix.
Yeah.
Yes. That's interesting. Okay. Interesting. A possible other Earth. Huh. Like where to go with this? Okay. For those of you who were like reading this for the first time, were you surprised to like find out the origins of the Stone Eaters?
Like the specifics, maybe. But we knew they were ancient humans, basically.
Yeah.
Which I guess they were kind of not humans, but
they were. I think that's the point they were trying to
well,
make.
they were equal to humans, but technically they weren't like they weren't human DNA, right? They were completely.
Well, I mean, they may have used human DNA, but they were like bioengineered and grown in a lab.
But they were a completely different thing. But they weren't tools. They were people. They were beings. I feel like by this book, I wasn't being surprised as much, and that I kind of got the gist of how she was revealing things. So it wasn't that I could predict what was happening or anything like that, but I also didn't find it shocking when she revealed it to me. I was like, yeah, okay, I see how what you've been saying leads up to that.
Yeah, like it was like a puzzle. Now everything was finally coming together.
Yeah.
In a sense.
I don't know. I guess I just didn't, I don't know. I just didn't picture how it would all come together at all. So like everything that happened that we found out was surprising to me. Like just how Hoa ties into the whole story. Like not only was he there when things happened, he was like a main part of like what caused the 5 seasons to that day. You know what I mean?
For you guys that read it twice, doesn't he say something about that at the beginning of the first book about being the one that destroyed the Earth or something like that?
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, see,
like he's
completely over my head. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that she gives you a lot of information at the very beginning. You just don't like necessarily know what it all means right away.
Yeah, I liked how in the books, in each book, she would give you clues and then circle back to them, and you're like, oh, that's what she was talking about. I get it now. And then with this book, all the pieces, like Heather and Brandy said, came together to like make it complete.
I will say I was shocked about like Lerna and Assoon. Like I
was like, not the baby.
I'm like, okay, I see you, Assoon.
I was like, you are really? Well, I figured they were going there because they said that at like the end of the second book. Because Hoa was like, you know, you still have physical needs. It's fine if he scratches them for you. I'll still be here. Which I don't understand why Hoa like loves a son I'm not like I didn't get quite the motivation behind that. Like I accept it, but I never quite got the reason.
He said
like I think he said that love like motive. I forget what it was.
I mean, I thought he said that she kind of reminds him of Kalenli in some way.
yes.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Right.
I don't really see the similarities as much, so I was a little confused too.
Yeah.
But-
Well, he said he was like, or maybe that's just my memory painting you that way. I was like,
think it's just
okay.
the emotion reminds him of
That could be it.
Lindley, maybe because he didn't really understand what he was feeling at the time, and
Yeah.
now he knows what it is. So I don't know. I don't know how he connected the two, but
Well, also he'd been stuck in that obelisk for so
Mhm.
long, and she freed him. Right? Like
Good
all
point.
like all the other stone eaters had been living.
Kind of
their
forgot
lives.
about that.
okay, yeah,
That big a motivator.
that makes sense too. But I'm just saying, if he was so like, I'm just saying, there's some stuff he knew that he could have just told us soon. But I'm like, you supposed to be down for her, stuff like that, but you leaving some details out.
You know, you don't reveal all of your relationships when you
I know, but I'm just saying, like he was very had a lot of knowledge on certain things that was being withheld. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is probably also part of it, but yeah, interesting.
I was like, okay, so now Asan has lost 4 romantic partners, not just breakups, they've all died, and 3 children, and is being forced to go against her only surviving child. This is a lot of personal interrelationship trauma for one person.
Yeah.
Like her life, it was just a lot of sacrifices throughout her entire life. But I guess, you know, since she's with mom, she was like, this is worth it. It's worth it. It's worth my life. It's worth my unborn child. It's worth it. But that's just a lot to put on.
Yeah, that one instant, but like the rest of the losses, like just don't write it. Don't write it. Just
Heather,
give her happiness.
It's not a romance.
Sorry, Heather.
I liked how it wasn't the book wasn't tied up in a nice, neat little package.
Yeah, me too.
It was tragic.
Yeah,
and
I mean, I appreciate that, but I wouldn't say I liked it. I wouldn't go that far.
Well, you know how so many books are tied up in a nice, neat little package.
Listen,
I'm just saying, like, why did she have to be pregnant? Like,
yeah, that was
like,
sad.
Like when she said she lost, like her menstruation stopped. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
I was surprised.
She's like, oh, I haven't eaten. I'm like, no.
Yeah, we've been in this desert walking. You know,
Yeah.
I might be exhausted. You know,
I was surprised that NK Jemisin made her pregnant.
Yeah.
I was too. That was the only part that I feel like really surprised me. I was like, but why is there a baby?
Yeah,
why though?
And like she's like 40, 44 or something.
44 starved in the desert.
Go through. I don't know. I'm not 44, so I don't know. But I don't know when you go through menopause. I
mean, it varies. There are people in their 40s who have babies, but
yeah.
And I tell you, barring tragedy, my worst living nightmare is being 40 and my youngest kid is like 18, or when I turned 40 she would be like 13, but like in my 40s about to be empty nester and there's an oops baby. When I tell you that, like,
all over,
I literally cannot wait until I'm like, oh, I made it through all of my fertile years, all of them, with no more children.
Look, this is why we were like, we are taking care of this, so it's not a question.
For real though.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I do think one thing that's interesting about the choice to have her be pregnant is like the choice she makes at the end is between her children.
Yeah.
Like, there's no good choice. You know,
she literally has no good choice for the entire series.
I mean,
there's never like, over here is bliss and you can be strong in your morals. And over here is
I know
bad.
Nessun was all for Shafa though, like all for him.
But don't you feel like there were some bad choices that were made? Esun made some bad choices.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
She never smiled at her 11-year-old daughter. Like, I'm sorry,
No.
but
Yeah.
that's a choice.
And she broke her
But
hand.
you have to remember how she grew up and stuff.
I
Though.
know.
Like you can't just like I get like moms do their best, you know, and they
Yeah.
you know. So I do like appreciate how Hoa was telling her like you did the best that you could do, and I think that as you know it sucked that she made those decisions and not ever smiled to her daughter, but she didn't even get that. She didn't know how to even express love because she didn't know how to. She didn't really have a good experience on it.
And honestly, this literally just occurred to me. Probably brilliance on my part, to be honest. Maybe she never smiled because the guardians were always smiling. So for her, it wasn't
Oh,
a comfort signal.
Mhm.
It
right.
was
That's
They
actually
were
a good point.
creepy. That's a good point.
That's a good point.
that's my contribution.
Huh.
Did you guys read the acknowledgments at the end?
I read the author's note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
That touched that. I felt like that. I was like, oh.
Yeah, and that she was taking care of her sick mom as she was writing this, and
Oh, I read it the first time. I read the
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was like, yeah, that kind of makes sense because this book, right, like, and the second one is a lot about like mother-daughter relationship, and it's kind of sad that she was like writing this while she was taking care of her mom that was about to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I also liked at the end when she was talking about daughter versus mother and how this is the way the season and the life made them. And if they had different paths, they would have never had to collide like this. But because of their emotional state plus the stakes of the world, that's why like you didn't have time to cool down. It was like, no, I'm going to destroy the world in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah.
well, and I think hoping to like leave the possibility of something better for her kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's hard, right? Is like when you have like a traumatized parent who tries to do the best they can, but is probably passing on some of that on to their children. But then like I don't know, it's like it's complicated. It's
Yeah.
And like she wasn't selfish. She loved her kids
Mhm.
very much so. It wasn't just
Yeah.
somebody who did not care that they had children that were relying on them.
Yeah.
And that made it sadder because she really cared about it.
Yeah. I will say I did feel for her when she found out about Jija and stuff. Like I wish like if that was me, I wish I wanted to kill him. I didn't want my
Yeah.
daughter to do that. I wanted to.
No.
Well, also you don't want your kid to carry that, right? Of like
Yeah,
having
right.
been the one to kill your dad. Oh, yeah. I had forgotten how young Nasun was in these books. I think in my head she was like a teenager.
Mhm.
And then like going back and rereading them, like, oh, she's so little.
Mhm.
And just the reality of knowing that a kid that age is making these decisions, and when they're making the wrong decision, like you can't even reason with them. Of course their emotions are valid. Of course this is their response. They're a literal child. And it was because you couldn't be mad at her because she is a kid, but
Yeah.
also you're literally, doing the worst thing you could be doing right now.
Yeah. And then I will say like I don't know if my daughter was missing for 2 years. I probably would have tried to find her sooner, but I guess, throughout the books Esun was learning a few things about herself and others. So
Right.
but that's a long time not seeing your daughter for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, she couldn't get there. She didn't even know where she was.
Yeah,
Through
until
some
like
of
the
it, yeah.
very end of like the second book after
Yeah.
Streama.
So I think she had to, and I don't want to use the word settle, but for lack of a better word, I think that's what she had to do. She had to settle into Kastrima because she just didn't know where her daughter was. And with the hopes that perhaps the season will be over and they could reconnect.
Yeah. Well, I do think there seems to be an arc of her also like learning how to somewhat at least like value and prioritize a community, not just herself. Because I think like she'd spent so much of her life just like doing everything for herself and trying to survive, even when they were on the island on some level. So I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, and Yika even said, and Lorna even said, it's not all about you. Not like that, but there are other people that you should consider as well. It's not just about you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like all the environment she'd been in previously, it kind of been like, I guess the fulcrum was everyone was being pitted against each other constantly.
Yeah.
And then she was like hiding out in a village where she knew if anyone knew the truth about her that they would kill her. And so she also hasn't really, I guess, had an opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
Which makes me think about her past at what's his name, Maxie or whatever, and he I thought that was a nice little touch to it. Like she found like her so-called brother when they were in the fulcrum. I like that part.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it's a lot of hard choices.
Like I couldn't imagine even trying to choose, at that, like, oh my gosh, what to do.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a bit of a pivot, but I'm curious, like, what did you guys think of some of the technology, especially in some of the, what is it, Selena something chapters? The big words are difficult.
I don't know why they would have a little paw that goes to the center of the earth with like a window that opens up in the side. That sounds like that like wall over the Grand Canyon, but like 1,000 times worse. Like the bridge, the glass bridge that you can look down.
Yeah, that did sound terrible.
I just thought it was interesting that everything was like made with like all biological, right? And like when they saw that concrete house and they were like, people used to think this was pretty and there's nothing growing.
Yeah. I liked how they it's like they used it was magic, but they learned how the magic worked. So like it was a blend, you know what I mean? Like it's like it went from being magic to being science, because once you learn something, it's no longer magical.
Yeah.
So I thought that part, I don't know, just ingenious. Like I thought the way she wrote this has so many little things that you can like pick apart. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think it was interesting to me. There's that moment where they go visit that museum and they see that the piece of art that's generating energy. And I just thought that was so interesting, this thing that like a piece of art is like more powerful than like these things people are trying to use to like control, like trying to create, to control and like dominate the earth.
Yeah.
Well, I think the author was showing basically that every people that they looked down on were actually kind of superior to them. Like they all had abilities and capabilities, and their if they had a culture, their culture had created things that they couldn't at their peak, at the best they ever got. They weren't achieving that, but they were like, but we are better than you. And just and again, I really loved how she pointed out how much human nature is, any oddity, any difference is looked down upon and is inferior, and that's just not true, and it doesn't make people lesser than you. And how she created this whole world where that was shown again and again and again. And she talks about how if it's so broken, you can't fix it. You would have to start completely over. I thought all of her correlations were really interesting.
Yeah.
And then talking about starting over, but this is, I don't know if you want to say that this is, that you could even start over from this, but what's the Stone Eater, Gray, whatever?
Steel.
He even said to Nasun, because she was like, well, if I turn him Shafa into a Stone Eater, then he'll survive. And Steele is like, well, are you sure you want to do that? Because if you do that for him, then you're ultimately going to turn all of humanity into stone eaters. And that's when the age of Shafa came up and how old stone eaters are and things like that. And he was like, do you really think that you could live that way for these thousands of years? And I thought that was really interesting how he put that in perspective and how she actually, at 11 years old, figured it out that maybe that's not a good idea. And maybe I need to find an alternative to saving Shafa.
Yeah, like could you even imagine you living for thousands of years and all the people you love are gone? Like,
Yeah.
that would be, I don't know how we even cope with that. Like, how do you?
Right.
Yeah.
It's always interesting in fiction where they have immortals, how they have, because they almost always have it infect them in some way. Just living that long, how you lose sense of right and wrong, who you are, whatever it is. They always seem to have some price they pay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in that one moment, I mean, he was really doing a good thing and saying, maybe you should think about this.
And I thought it was interesting too, just pointing out again her age and being like, no, the whole world is a price I'm willing to pay to save this one person. And you know how adults or anybody who's older than you is like, back when I was your age, I wish I knew how good it was.
Yeah.
But being literally 40,000 years old and talking to an 11-year-old and being like, no,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and her context was like thinking about how long the last 2 years had been. Like, oh, well.
Yeah, I live thousands of years.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
It really is.
look,
It is.
it is.
I mean, it's kind of a reasonable choice for anyone at any age.
Yeah, like
Depending on what's going on.
Yeah, like she's like, I've lost everything. Like,
Yeah.
go ahead, might as well. No one else here is to I have no one else to love.
Yeah.
And no one else loves me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and that was what really got me, because every time she would say that, I would think, well, Esun, your mom really does love you. She just didn't know how to show it.
Yeah.
Right.
And, you know, Jija, Jija, he loved her
Yeah.
until it was conditional. His love was conditional.
Yeah.
But it's hard because, right, her mother also abused her.
Yeah.
I mean, like, supposedly for her own good, but did.
Right.
And, like, she's been traumatized by that. So it's.
Yeah. She looks at her mom differently, you know?
Yeah,
Right.
understandably, I mean.
But I mean, she wasn't, well, I think we've already said that. She wasn't taught love. You know, her parents literally called the police on her.
Yeah.
And had her taken away. And she was never shown that love and affection. So she didn't know how to give it.
Yeah. But
Right.
then
But from Nasun's perspective, right? Like, it
Right.
yeah.
I mean,
I thought she did a really good job of making you see why each character was the way they were and why they would make those choices and why those would be the best option for them, even though it doesn't actually line up with right and wrong or the best or wrong choice. It's just, yeah, this is this person, how they view the world, what the world has shaped them into, and where they're at right now, right? Again, you don't have a year to make the decision or a month or a day. A lot of these things are, oh, somebody's attacking me. Do I kill them or what do I do? And so even when you clearly don't agree with any of the choices, she still shows you why they weren't just being evil or malicious, but were kind of the product of what they were.
Yeah. I also like I think she find out about Shafa and his past and stuff like that, but Nessun still cared and loved Shafa. Like she declared him as her adopted father.
Well, because that wasn't how he'd been with her.
Yeah. And this was all like secondhand stuff. Like I don't think he went into details. He was just kind of like, I did some bad stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I'm not going to ask too many questions about what that means.
Yeah, because I feel like their relationship probably would have been different.
Yeah. Well,
and then Shafa didn't remember half of the stuff that he did, but he knew that he genuinely loved his origin charges. And
that like, oh, I think what's so interesting about this is it highlights that like love doesn't mean you can't be abusive.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Which I think I brought some of this up before, is like there are parents who, you know, are very hard on or harsh with or like even abusive towards their children, trying to protect them from like things in the world, but like, you know, and then love them, but also it doesn't make it not what it is, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, I mean, he would say all the time, Shafa would say all the time to Esun, or Demai at the time, that he loved her, but yet he broke her hand.
Yeah.
And yet other things that he would do, and he said he would not hesitate to kill her.
Yeah.
You know, if she stepped out of line. So, I mean, really, that's some weird love.
Yeah.
He even talks about how his lifespan was so long because he actually loved his charges.
Yeah. Well, he took from them too.
Yeah. But I think all the Guardians did that to some extent, right?
Yeah.
Right.
They did.
So,
but it held off his insanity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love. Yeah.
So
wild.
Yeah. It's complicated.
I will say when they brought up Alabaster, I'm like, what?
I was like, I thought he was gonna do something. No, we just talked about him for a minute about something we already found out at the end of book 2. It's like really nothing.
I kind of liked it though, like getting like his journal entries of like where he was and what he was doing, like in between, like in the time we didn't see him. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I did like that.
I thought it was interesting that when her or his stone eater, whatever, I can't remember her name.
Antimony.
Yes. And so at the end of Alabaster's life, when he was fully stone at that point, and then she said something about she saw another stone eater that vaguely resembled Alabaster. And then, I mean, that came up again, and Hoa was like, well, he's fragile and it takes a long time for him to cool off, and he has to agree to talk to you. He has to want to talk to you. And I thought there's a lot of I was about to say at will. What is the word that I'm looking for? A lot of
like
consent. Yeah, consent. That goes on in all of the novels and all of these in the trilogy. And they're always talking about no one asked. If this is what I wanted, I just had to do, or it was expected to do this, that, and the other without questioning. So I thought I liked the way NK Jemisin did that. She said consent is important.
Yeah, she did a good job of being like, these are people and here's their terrible choices and stuff, but these are human rights. This is what we should all have, undeniably. And, you know, this is why maybe you're not the worst person on earth and you're still not treating others the way that you should. But like, this is the line that is right.
Right.
Yeah.
I do think this is so interesting, right? That like the entire series is this framework of Hoa telling her own life story as she's now a stone eater.
That's interesting.
It's like he wants her to know, to remember.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing, memory comes up, forgetting your past. Who says this? Dylan, whatever her name is, the Loris that they didn't know was a Loris. She even says that. She says that she's forgetting the lore. And how the lore was changed, or how history was changed, how it was rewritten.
Yeah.
Like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, tablet 3 or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that, one of them. And how it was rewritten so many times, and just so that the people at the top could stay at the top, and the other.
And I mean, that is what happens.
Yeah, I know. And I just found that really interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, we're doing that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Making the same mistakes over and over again, not being conscious of it.
Yeah.
Yep. I am curious. I think, like, I'm not 100% sure, but like, does it seem that at the end of the book, she turns into cyanite, like the rock?
Yeah.
Like, isn't that like the name she chose for herself is like the kind of stone she turns into? I thought that was interesting.
I kind of figured that was gonna be a thing. Alabaster was like I was like,
and from my understanding, when they chose their names at the fulcrum, I could be wrong about this, correct me if I am, but I feel like when she chose her name, that they all kind of like chose some type of stone.
Yeah, that was the way it worked. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is interesting.
Yeah.
Like,
So
that's gonna be stone eaters eventually? Is that what you mean?
I think so, actually. I mean, because they do end up becoming stone eaters.
Some of them, anyway. I mean,
Yeah,
or
some
do
of
all
them.
of them. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know that they all become stone eaters.
I thought that they were just choosing the names because of working with the earth and the different elements. That was just what they did.
And I thought that they chose stone names because they harness the earth.
Right. But maybe it originated somewhere else, like that's what they think, but it has an older reason. I don't know. I think it's interesting.
I don't know.
Was the situation in the US still about this in 2015? I mean, I feel like so much of what she talks about here is very is ongoing things about like
a lot of the stuff that she talks about is US history, and definitely how the government and society and white people in general have treated Black people from the second that they were found, and that hasn't changed at any point in the last 200 years. Like, there have been different sections of time, but all of the things that she addressed in the book, like, it doesn't matter what year she wrote it, we could all be like, that's a thing.
Yeah, like the laws being rewritten over and over again.
Right.
And they're constantly changing.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so, and like this specifically, what's interesting with rewriting history, I didn't know this actually, but like there's a whole thing people have been talking about this year, that even the whole idea of like the first Thanksgiving was some guy in the 1800s, like literally rewriting paragraphs from a historical document.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Oh yeah. It's like a whole. So I mean, people have literally rewritten history to like make it what they want it to be. So.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. There's a very common phrase that is, the victors, the conquerors are the ones that write history, and it's so
Yeah.
It's so true.
Look, they are missing out, and there's nothing wrong with being political. Everything is political. It's just like whether you like her politics or not. But
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and she doesn't even write politics though.
No,
She writes human rights issues.
which is political.
I mean, it is
Yeah,
political.
like
This-
she writes it, but not.
I will say, the city we became is very overtly political. Like it's
Yeah.
the most.
I
It's
saw
set in the modern.
Yeah.
I
But
have
let's be honest. As far as sci-fi and fantasy is concerned, it is political. It's perhaps the most of the genres, the most political of the genres.
Yeah, like
Literary genres.
yeah, you can think of like books like Dune. You can think of Black Sun by Rebecca Rowan Horace. I mean, everything's political.
Yeah.
It's just so frustrating to like read these books and have people be like, no, I don't like that. I don't like the idea that you being different from me and me treating you badly because of it makes me a bad person. I don't like that. I'm just gonna skip your book.
Yeah, I mean, part of reading, I feel, is to read for obvious pleasure, and there is some discomfort in that, I think, as well. But there are some people that don't like to read.
Yeah,
Be
where
uncomfortable.
they're really political and they ban books because of certain things that they talk about in their books.
Oh,
Like
That is true.
like literally ban it so that even if people haven't read it, they're like, oh my gosh, this book is banned. It must be bad. I shouldn't read it.
Yeah. Chloe, any thoughts or?
Sorry, I was just squinting because I'm having trouble reading the comments.
Oh, you're good.
I was reading some to you.
Yeah.
Staten Island. That's so interesting. So, yeah, it's funny because like I live in New York, and like the way she depicts Staten Island is 100% what that borough is like. All of the boroughs, like she nails their characters.
Doesn't she live in New York?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She does.
I still have to read that book. I probably will be ending up reading it real soon.
It's very. I thought it was great, but yeah. Yeah, so it's interesting because Staten Island is the only conservative borough that like votes Republican. So like the way it's depicted in the book is I'm like, oh, that's
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 funny.
the thing.
I don't know that. So.
Like that's the thing
That's
when you
funny.
have all these like political parties, but yet and still you're still human beings.
Mhm.
You still should have a conscience of what's right and what's wrong. It's like a game, and I can't stand it.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Some of the books they've been trying to ban, I'm like New Kid. Did you see this?
No.
It's a middle
No.
grade graphic novel. It's really good, but I'm like, what? Because like it's a Black kid dealing with some microaggressions while he tries to figure out how to navigate middle school. Like, I mean, it's not that.
Truly, I've kind of gotten the impression that if it's not a white person on the cover and not a white author and not a straight white author, preferably, then no, we don't want it.
Yeah, or if it's something about police brutality.
Right.
Yeah, I only heard about. Sorry.
Oh, you go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you can finish. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, you're fine. I was done.
Oh, okay. I'd only heard about the Marco Shiro book and All Boys Aren't Blue, like them trying to get that categorized as pornography. And I thought someone in Florida had tried to file like criminal charges against the author.
Yeah.
Which that got dropped, I thought.
Yeah. Like I think the
Yeah,
Florida
yeah.
charges have since been dealt with.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's messed up. Well, because it deals with like experiences of gay sex, but it's not like. But it's written for teenagers. Like it's not.
I don't feel like you should be banning books. Period. Next
Well,
thing you
anytime-
it's also not the only, I mean, it's striking to me because those are also not the only gay authors doing that. It's just that they're gay men of color doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know.
In the Texas, whoever,
Yeah.
the over 800 books that he wants the school board or libraries to look at, the first 100 are by people of color or someone that is part of the LGBTQIA plus community, or deals with sex and reproduction.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime your battle cry is save the children, think of the children, it's probably no from
It's just crazy because literally if you read the Broken Earth trilogy, it's like it's trying to tell you like what's going on in your own backyard. But yet you want to ban books that's speaking the truth about anything, and you just don't want to face it. It's like you want to erase it, but how can you erase something that has actually happened? Like, how do you erase history like that? I don't understand.
You rewrite the tablet.
Yeah.
3 or 4 times.
How can you even write it? It's like the discovery of America and stuff like that. And how do you rewrite it? I really would be interested in like how do you reconfigure everything that's happened.
Well, I think we're looking at some of it right now, in that if you're on the far right, you're just getting more and more from the far right. So, like, they'll talk about how Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and all of the algorithms are like, oh, you like this content, so we give you more of it. So then people on their newsfeeds will be like, how's everybody seeing this and not agreeing with me? And it's like, they're not seeing it. You're seeing it because the algorithms have decided this is what you like. And if somebody with your opposite political view, they're not seeing the same thing as you. They're seeing stuff that they already agree with, or people that they have chosen to follow because they agree with them, whatever. And not that you never see an opposite opinion, but you really can kind of see how you go farther and farther into your own rabbit hole because you're surrounded by people that are like, yes, you're right already. Yes.
Yeah. When I think of Texas is trying to be its own thing, like not even be part of the U.S. It seems like at this point.
So interesting. Well, I think New Kid is one of the ones they were also trying to ban, and like I said, it's a middle grade graphic novel. It's not.
What do you want these children to read? Like the classics?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they are written by white men and have white characters that
and
are
white women
or that are acceptable.
Yeah.
I don't think you can ever discount the role of white women.
Oh no.
I think a lot of times it's kind of the I think she showed this some in the book. Yeah, you're not treating me well, but at least I'm better off than these people, and I can treat them worse than you're treating me. When every time you abuse me or you know, make me do something that puts me in a bad mood because I don't have a choice, well, then I can pass on my frustration to this person that's under me.
Yeah.
Like when I read this book, I'm thinking like, okay, in the U.S., who is our Essoon and Nasoon? Like, who can make the system right and fix it? Like, I always think about it like, okay, who's the right person to do this?
Did you come up with an answer?
No,
I know, right?
I don't know.
Like, tell us.
Like, I really want to know. Like, I really don't know at this point, because it's like I've dabbled into like political stuff, and then it's a mess, and it's just like you would have to like
you have to sacrifice yourself. You have to sacrifice your own well-being in order to deal with the idiocy. Which actually, I really liked that the son no longer had orogeny. Forgot. Ignore me. She no longer had that as an option, and he was like, "That's never been the only option to save the world."
Yeah.
That was my favorite line of the book when he says that to her. He's like, that's not the only way to change things. Like,
yeah.
I was like, yes. It was so good.
Yeah.
There were so many good lines in all of the books. All of them.
I mean, this series is a masterclass.
Yes, it's just it's sad that it's not getting it the representation it deserves. Like I'm like, well, how come there are no special editions for this trilogy?
I
Like,
know.
No,
Like,
Hardcovers would be great.
And
Like,
Chloe said it. Chloe said it, and I had an aneurysm when she said it. She said that they're going to start putting book club stickers on it.
Oh no.
That's a no. Because in the immortal words of Bree, that's a no for me, Bob.
we'll probably get like a TV tie-in edition if they ever actually make the show.
And again, that's a no
Yeah.
for me, Bob.
Did we find out where the show is gonna come out? Like which airline, or like not airline, look at me. Network it's gonna come on?
I think
have
we're
no idea.
still.
I don't know.
are they still
I
trying to figure out
know.
who's gonna take it on?
Yeah.
So that's a good question. Let's see.
Like, I really don't know. It's like, okay, you're gonna get like have a show, but you know, you definitely should be broadcasting. this book.
Okay, so in June, there was a movie deal with.
Oh,
Wow.
Jessica
With-
said TNT.
TNT.
No, no. So TNT is doing. I think TNT is doing her other series.
The is it
The,
the Inheritance? The Inheritance?
Yes, the Inheritance series. So it looks like in June there was a 7-figure deal for Sony Pictures to where the NK Jemisin will adapt the books herself to make a trilogy of movies. Is what apparently is.
So it's not going to be. It's like going to be a movie.
It's going to be movie. It looks like it's going to be in movies. Yeah.
It's crazy because you don't really hear a lot of buzz about it. You hear about everything else, but that one.
Hoping it's just because it's early.
It just started. I mean, June the deal closed.
So I mean, they're probably still trying to get the cast and everything.
Well, and writing scripts.
Yeah.
I mean, movies move slow. Like,
And I can only imagine like the technology and stuff. They have to like make this imagery and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's.
I'm excited to see what they do with it. So she's supposed to be doing the script writing. Like, she might have people helping her, but like she's supposed to be doing that.
I'm glad she's being hands-on with it.
Hey.
Shamala.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
There.
Get your Black Friday shopping on.
I did some shopping this morning.
Yeah.
I was surprised people were going out. I was like, Black Friday and COVID? That sounds like so scary to me. I couldn't.
Look, I ordered some stuff online, but I know like Target had the buy two, get one free.
See, I didn't do that. I went to Barnes & Noble.
Yeah, Barnes & Noble has 50% off, right?
And they have signed editions of stuff, like in limited quantities. And it's like, people don't really go to Barnes & Noble for Black Friday. I just do.
I'll probably go tomorrow. I just hit up Barnes & Noble tomorrow.
Is everything 50% off or no?
No,
Just
like certain books.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I did Barnes & Noble and GameStop. That was my Black Friday shopping.
Wait, what'd you get from GameStop? I'm just being nosy.
Some stocking stuffers for my husband.
Okay.
They had some good deals. Like t-shirts were all $9.
Yeah.
They had like headphones.
Good.
They had like a bunch of stuff on sale. So yeah, I'm not. I was like, I'm not gonna do anything major, but it's fun. Okay. Yes, this is true. Yeah, and this is gonna be a big budget series
I can
too.
only imagine. Like, I really wonder who.
Hey, Bree.
Hey.
I wonder who she's going to choose as far as the cast on who would be in Essoon, Alabaster, all that.
Yeah.
Do you know if she gets any say in that? I kind of assume that would be kind of outside of her hands, but I don't know.
I think it varies a lot. Like, a lot of times they don't have much say in it. Sometimes they can have some input in terms of like at least the look they're going for, or like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes they can kind of help guide it a little bit, but I don't know.
I don't know about you guys. I do hate when the reason why the actor doesn't look like the character is because they're making it more palatable or more mainstream or traditional beauty.
Yeah.
But so I don't like that. However, I would rather have an actor who is skilled at portraying the character than have them physically be dead on and, you know, just very wooden on the screen. So I don't care so much.
I guess
for
here's the
accuracy.
problem is that I think that that argument is frequently used as a reason to not have a diverse cast, where you can have both. I mean, the reality is that I mean, I'm not saying this is what you're trying to say.
Right.
I'm just saying like it's a thing that I hear a lot of people say when like really what they mean is like I just want like the same popular authors or actors. Where like the reality is there are plenty of very talented actors who can
To
play
be
the roles.
honest, for a story like this, I really like to not know the actors at all because I'm not seeing the actor then, I'm seeing the character. Whereas if it's like I don't know, did my mind drop all famous actors? Yes, it did.
Now Essen. Zendaya is going to be Nassim.
Yeah.
I mean,
like
if they age her up.
I just wanted
they could get that. What about that girl? Well, depending on how soon they film it, but that girl from what was it, that like Jingle Jangle movie from last year?
I don't know who you're talking. Like I can't name the actress, but I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, like she was really good.
Yeah, I think I prefer like people I don't know before because I feel like all the actors I'm familiar with get like typecast as like certain characters, and I just I can't see them working in this role where the characters are just like so they're not really one note. I feel like that'd be very hard to pull off.
Yeah. I mean, sure.
I don't know.
That would be an interesting choice.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really see her in that role.
Okay, this is a good question though. Is like, who would you cast for stuff if you could?
I don't know. I'm not a professional. I'm just a viewer. I'm like, oh, no, I don't know what I'm doing.
I mean,
I don't know. Like for Yika, I don't know of a really tall actress.
Is she really tall?
No, I just picture her as being really tall.
Oh, that's interesting.
See, I picture like nothing. That's super vague. Very vague.
Okay, so what about for Essoon, maybe Denai Guerrera?
What about Regina King?
I mean, I love her and everything. So
I just watched A Harder They Fall, and I thought she did an awesome job in that movie.
You got Angela Bassett too.
Bahari? Is that her name? Who was in? Because I thought she was like good at like really like acting without like saying a lot of words. I thought that was what she was kind of known for. I thought she was in what was it? I think it was a Twilight Zone episode. What was it? Something Vipers.
Oh.
Okay, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm always really bad at remembering like who everybody is.
I am too. I don't know who actors and actresses are. I just don't know.
I always have to like look up their names. I'm like, I remember them from this thing. But interesting.
Ashley had a video about that.
Yeah, I didn't really know that was such a thing until I got on BookTube actually, and then started seeing people like discover the what is it, aphantasia?
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, where you like can't picture things in your mind. It's so interesting.
I don't know. I feel like I kind of just associate the person with whatever is like going on at that time. So like, I don't know. I just remember like I read this book around the time I think I read like or I'd heard about So You Want to Talk About Race by Ijeoma I'm not saying her name right, but that author. And like she doesn't look anything at all like how Essen is described, but like just every time I thought of Essen, I was just like, oh, this author. And like I just couldn't really shake it. Like I couldn't like make myself think of like someone closer to the person who wrote it. I don't know why.
Because I really don't see the people. It's so blurry. I often will then completely forget how they were described. Wrong hair color, wrong eye color, wrong height, wrong everything. And then they'll say something, I'll be like, what?
I don't know. I try not to guess if the book is going to be adapted. I don't try to guess who is going to be the actor and actress because I don't want to keep my hopes up.
Oh yeah, I don't try to guess, but I think the fan casting is fun. Of like, if you could pick, like, who would you pick? Anybody have thoughts on this for Alabaster?
No,
I really don't know.
he was such a interesting personality and his communication and stuff.
Oh my gosh, I just forgot his name. And see, this is why I'm bad at this. Black Panther, the one who took over.
Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan?
Yeah.
Isn't he already involved somehow? I thought he was like working on like he's doing production, right?
Oh, good. He's great.
I couldn't see him as Alabaster.
You can.
He's too charismatic. I feel like because Alabaster's like grumpy.
I was gonna say, I don't feel like Alabaster is stunningly beautiful. I feel like he looks just like a bit odd. Like your impression of him is not, wow, what a gorgeous man. It's
I mean, that's why there's makeup, hair and makeup.
Yeah.
And that's
just get an actor with an interesting face.
I'm just trying I'm trying to think if I've ever seen Michael B. Jordan in a role where he was like gruff and grumpy, you know? Like I don't know if I've ever seen him play that.
He was I don't know if he was gruff and grumpy, but the one that he played the boxer. Oh my gosh.
Was that one of the Rocky movies?
Yeah.
Recent
I didn't see that one. That's probably
okay.
I don't know.
Neither did I. That's the only thing
I'm thinking the guy that plays Luke Cage.
Oh look.
Oh, I know.
Oh, I could see that.
Yeah. I don't know what his name is.
I don't either, but I could see that. Oh look, yeah, the Stone Eaters, the hair, the makeup on that's gonna be.
Someone said Don Cheadle.
I feel like he's too old.
I mean, he could play the older
Alabaster, but not young.
Yeah,
Alabaster.
but not the younger version.
But then, even so, I think when not Cyanite at the time, that was her.
This was the movie we're thinking of.
Yeah, Creed. When he was at least in his 40s.
Yeah,
I feel like Don Cheadle. I don't know.
I thought he was like in his 30s because she was like 18 or something, and he'd been around for a while. I thought he was like maybe in his late 30s, but yeah, I mean, who knows?
Was she just 18?
Yeah, she was like 18 or 19.
Mm-hmm. She hadn't turned 20 yet.
Yeah, she was 18 or 19. Yep.
I missed that.
Mm-hmm.
Who would play Hoa?
I do remember he was like 10 years older than her, or a little bit over.
Okay.
They could get Timothy Chalamet to play Hoa.
Stop, don't even joke about that.
But then, okay, so Hoa. So who are you talking about? Hoa older?
Well, you know, I mean, like he's a pale
kid.
And short, and like he's a good actor.
I can't deal with you people. I'm just discovering how wrong you all are.
Why?
I'm sure, like the Stone Eaters and stuff. Why would they not use like special effects? Why do we need a pale person to be?
Oh no! I'm kidding. No. I mean,
he's a
Hoa,
kid,
like pre-Stone Eater Hoa.
Yeah.
No.
Like when.
Because he talks about pre-Stone Eater Hoa from like the Syl and Aegis, whatever. Like he was still looked like a person, but
he was short though,
and very pale.
They were all
he was pale.
Yeah, very pale, but also like weren't they all kind of short and stocky?
Yeah,
like significantly so.
Maybe
I don't know.
Maybe.
And that's why that lady like bending down to talk to him is like, I'm not that much shorter than you. Like,
So you rather have the Stone Eaters be not real people, but just like
Yeah. I'd rather they be
CGI?
special effects.
Elijah Wood.
Like,
Oh, yeah, he hasn't grown.
I mean,
since,
he's short and pale and
Erica.
slightly or stockier.
But now I think he's like, I don't know.
I mean, he played Frodo. He could do it.
I mean, he is short.
yeah. There you go.
Oh man.
We could CGI Elijah Wood for all.
Yeah. Also,
Okay.
I would say like do makeup because it works better. Like the thing is if you do CGI, it never ages well. Like
Yeah.
movies that are heavily CGI now, like just don't look as good. Whereas that's part of why Lord of the Rings holds up is because they mostly did like real special effects and not
Yeah.
So you want a hobbit?
I'm just picturing Hoa saying, "Yes, we've had first
Why not?
breakfast, but what about second breakfast?"
What about 11 C's?
That's perfect. Oh my gosh.
Compromises have to be made.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be two different actors, or they could just do heavy makeup. I mean, but yeah, interesting. Okay.
Oh.
Shafa, yeah, I guess that's interesting. Shafa's like creepy, but he has to have like
And he's got to be tall.
but I feel like he's
Yeah.
got to have some element of being likable. Like he's got to be able to pull off likable and creepy.
And
you know?
creepy.
He's got to
And
be
he's-
like both.
And
I
he's
don't
got
know.
to
I
be
felt like
really
Shafa got
big.
away with being liked just because no one had better options than him. He might not have to be that charismatic to regular people.
Well, but he like smiles all the time, and he like does draw people in. Like think about like the kid who he killed his whole family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like you would know that something's off the whole time, but at the same time, it would appear charming.
Like
one thing I did really like with Shafa was at the end, Nasan never had a showdown with him. She never came face to face with him again, and I liked that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, I don't want her to have to do this. I don't want her to have to face them, and that didn't happen. So I was happy with that.
Yeah.
I mean, arguably she died instead, but still.
I mean, I don't know.
interesting. Yeah. Well, there's our sort of attempt at
I am just secure and happy in the knowledge that none of you have any decision-making power in this. Surely they're going to do a better job
Look,
with this.
no,
I
Really.
also think we probably, if we had actually like been prepared to do this, we would have like, had better ideas.
All
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then also we'd be like, I have no idea who you're talking about. So
I'll be like, okay,
Sure,
this movie.
probably.
You've seen this movie, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I never do that because I never try and figure out who should play my favorite characters because I don't know actors' names.
Yeah. Oh, this is very true.
Yeah. I mean, it might not be an actual like a match, but it'll be close enough.
That'd be so interesting because they would have to all be different actors.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also at different times of her life, right? So
Yeah.
it'll be easier
Very
to
different
cast different
ages.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. James McAvoy when he was younger. Oh, yeah. Oh, for Shafa? I could see that. Isn't he
What
just...
about Lerna?
Oh. I don't know.
I didn't
Oh,
mean to.
yeah, him.
I'm thinking about him. I'm thinking about Enon. I'm thinking about
I'll cast Dev Patel as Lerna.
Oh, yeah.
That I just pulled that name out of
I like
nowhere,
that.
but that's how I picture.
Is that what you have over there, Chloe? A hat full of names?
Dev Patel is never a bad choice for something. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what they do. But I hope it all actually like comes together and doesn't like take too long and fall through because that would be
Yeah, that would be so disappointing.
Because I'm wondering if they're going to still do Children of Blood and Bone, because it was supposed to be for the
I
entire
honestly don't
trilogy.
know what she's doing. I'm like, are we getting a
Oh
third
wait,
book?
that got a movie deal?
Yeah,
It-
it did.
Oh
it
right,
got
it
a
did. That's
big
been so
movie
long since
deal.
the announcement.
Mhm.
But I
Yeah.
don't know what happened with that. Like,
Yeah.
because she hasn't even done her third book yet. I don't know. So,
Nope.
Yeah, I don't
But
even
the
know when it's
second
supposed to come out.
The
like the
second
second
one,
book
I
was
did not
really,
like.
it
Oh my
really,
gosh!
it irked me so bad. It made me
I
like question if I even wanted to read. The third
oh,
book.
I don't want to read the third one based on the second one. I did not like it. I was like, oh.
Oh my gosh!
And the ending, I was like,
I'm like, what? Seriously?
I was like, you had a rough year. Like, what happened?
Yeah. Because I'm thinking like the book is going to be like a tome, like the first book, but it was so like,
It was only 300 something pages, I think.
yeah. And I thought like all that time it would have been, I thought it was going to be huge.
And all the characters were not who they were. Like, they were completely
No.
different people. I was like, what happened? Oh.
I have not read that. But when I tell you, that is the bane of my existence.
Heather,
where I'm
you
like,
will don't read it.
Don't
Just,
read
oh,
it.
just
Or
read
if you
the
want to
first
read it, go ahead and
book.
you can make a rant
No,
about
don't.
it.
Just be happy with your life and pretend nothing else exists. You'll be much happier.
I'm always just like, you created this character. Why do I know them better than you clearly do? Because this is not them. This is not how it works.
It did
And
like take her 2 years, right? For the
Yes,
one?
it got pushed back because I had pre-ordered it.
Mhm.
It got pushed back several times.
Yeah. And then that's what came out.
And then that's what came out of it.
I also
And I remember
really
her saying, "Oh, we don't want to rush through the edits and stuff like that." So I was like, "What did you do?"
I'm like, you rushed through this. Like, seriously?
I just
I
feel like
read-
she must have had a really rough year because I was like, this is so
It didn't make sense to me.
no.
And
I read the first one, but literally when I tell you guys I DNF'd it, like I want to say like 95% through. Like I got to literally I had like 20 pages left and I was like, I cannot read this anymore. Like I don't remember, it was years ago, but I think it was like the relationship between the two characters was like driving me nuts. And I was like, I cannot go.
Yeah,
I
some
can't-
people didn't like that.
Some people didn't like it.
Yeah.
I loved the first book, so
Yeah,
I
so
was
did
like so excited.
Yes.
And
So
then oh my gosh. It made me so
And-
mad. It was I think it was my worst book of last year.
Yeah.
I
It was just not
DNF'd.
what it was not what I was
DNF'd it.
expecting.
You're probably
At
better
like
off there.
150 pages.
That was not
Dang.
good. Not good.
The characters were wildly different.
Yeah,
Wildly.
like
They
you
had like the nice character do genocide. I'm like,
yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Because I'm thinking like, okay, this is your sophomore book. It should be 10 times better than your first one.
Well,
And this,
that doesn't actually happen.
That's like,
Yeah.
that's a thing, right?
apparently, I guess not.
Sophomore slump.
But
That was not a
NK
slump.
Jemisin, she did her
This
It was
was
a
more, yeah,
great
this was more than a
complete
slump.
deal.
This was like a collapse.
I was like, man, I was all for Children of Blood and Bone, and yeah.
I liked the covers.
You know what I noticed today at my Barnes & Noble? You know how they did all those fancy like editions of the first book with like the different clans?
Fire and all
Yeah,
that.
so several of them we're now in the book annex area of Barnes & Noble for $5.
Didn't the new edition just come out like a little bit like early, like in the end of last year?
I mean,
Because that's when the journal came out too, right? The little
yeah,
those have been out for a couple of years.
they have been out for a while. But I was like, I do feel like book 2 soured me a little. Like I wish I had just not read book 2 because I feel like now I can't be as excited about how much I loved book 1. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think they were making the first book a cash cow because it did so well.
Yeah.
And they had the different magi tribes, or they're not tribes, or you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Have their own edition, I thought that was a bad idea then.
I'm just saying, like, if you're doing a movie and you come out with this second book, like, who would want to watch it? Not me.
Adrian, if you have the first book, try the first book. If you
Read
like it, then
yeah.
great. Read the first book. Just stop there.
Just
Pretend it's a standalone.
yeah.
And maybe if the third book comes out, wait for reviews on the third book and
That would be my advice.
skip to the third book.
I'm just gonna get the book from the library.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna read other people's reviews because, like, based on the way that book 2 ended, I'm like, I'm not gonna like where this is going.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, where is this going? Because you just everybody's gone. Like, that's it.
And everything that I was hoping for after reading book 1 did not happen in book. Like,
Yeah.
I was
You
like,
might as well kept book 1 as a standalone. To be honest.
just read it as a standalone. Pretend it is, and probably be much happier.
I'm sorry, y'all, if y'all haven't started reading the books. I'm sorry.
Or you might be one of the rare few who read book 2 and love it, because there are some people out there who did.
Yeah.
I just was not one of them. So
Like I said, I DNF'd it at around halfway through, if that.
Mm.
yeah.
That was a bad book.
Yeah.
So disappointing, like, especially when you're really excited for something. But
Yeah.
but these books are all great.
Yes.
They are.
I haven't read anything bad from Jemisin.
So you read The Inheritance?
I read the first book.
Okay.
I haven't read The Inheritance yet.
Okay. I haven't read the second. I know they're companion novels. They don't directly follow each other, so I haven't read books 2 and 3, but I've read the first one.
I have not read. What have I read by her? Oh, my sci-fi is not in this room. I read, obviously, this trilogy. How Long Till Black Future Month. I think that's it. I have The City We Became.
I've read a lot from her. Yeah, I've read The City We Became, How Long Till Black Future Month, this trilogy. I've read the first book in Inheritance. I've read the first book in the Dreamblood duology. I don't think did I read book 2? Oh my gosh, I can't even remember now. Maybe I did read book 2 in that. I don't know, look. But yeah, so I've read a lot of her books, and I have not read. I even read a short story she wrote for like an Amazon original thing, and it was great. Okay, no, I have not finished Dreamblood. I read the first book in Dreamblood. So books I have left to read are the second 2 books in Inheritance and the second book in Dreamblood. So I have like 3 books from her I haven't read yet.
Okay.
Yeah. So fun.
After this, I feel like at some point I'll definitely pick up the Inheritance trilogy.
Yeah, same here.
And I have to say, I'm really glad that I did the read along because, one, would I have ever read it? Who knows? Would I probably DNF'd? I mean, probably, because I would have been like, well,
I'm so glad that you did it, and you made it through the whole thing, Heather. I'm so impressed.
Listen, I committed. I was like, oh,
I love
here
it.
we go. But the first book was definitely the hardest for me though, and then I don't know if I would have picked them back up. And I had so much fun. One, I really loved the books, but I had so much fun talking about them. Like I felt like it really made it a more enjoyable experience. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah, it was a great experience. And I completely agree, Heather, especially if you didn't pick up certain things, but then somebody reminds you of certain details. I love that aspect of it. So I appreciate this read along. It was amazing.
Yeah, I'm so glad everybody could join. Yeah. I think I will say, like, from what I read from her, I think these books are the heaviest. Like, all of her books have heavy things and deal with some difficult issues, but I don't feel like the other things that she's written are quite as dark. I guess.
Yeah, I don't know if she makes her characters suffer as much as Essen in her other
No.
books.
Well, and I feel like this ending is also like more.
Very bittersweet.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
city we became is very hopeful, actually.
Okay.
Is that a standalone?
No,
And there's gonna be another book, right?
there's going to be another one at least, but I mean, you could read it as a standalone. Like, I think it's a satisfying arc, but there's space for more.
Oh, okay. I have the first one. I just wasn't sure if she was going to keep going.
Yeah, I think she's planning to.
Yeah, I actually have it and I need to read it.
Look,
Yeah.
yes, that bind up is too much.
I don't.
I see that on people's shelves on their videos. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Huge. I'm like, no, I cannot.
And it's
Oh,
very
yeah, on the bind up.
intimidating looking at it. I'm like, oh my gosh.
It's because
There's
it's 3
a
books.
bind up of
It's
this
3
as
books, but when
well.
they put that bind up together
Wait, there's a bind up of the Broken Earth, you
There's a-
said?
of
Yeah.
the Inheritance trilogy.
Of Inheritance.
I think there's a
Okay.
bind up of the Broken Earth as well.
Oh, is there?
I hadn't known about that one.
It's too much. It's
Yeah,
just
I
too
prefer the
long.
individual copies. Like I have the bind up, and I think I'm gonna have to like go in and like put sticky tabs or something to just make it easier to navigate.
Mhm.
I've read one trilogy
Maybe not.
as a physical bind up, and I hated it. The book was so heavy, and I was just
I
like,
know your hands probably like sore and stuff.
why did we do this?
Oh,
It was a
no.
library copy. I was like, why did they not purchase 3 separate books? My
I
life
also
would
don't
be
like
so much
picking them
easier.
up. Like I don't know, with like one hand, it feels like you're holding a baby
Yes.
without supporting the neck. Like I feel
Yes.
bad.
Okay,
Too
I
much.
was wrong. I was wrong. It
They
is
don't-
Inheritance.
It's just
It is
Inheritance. Okay, yeah. Yeah, this is the thing too, though, is they're companion novels. They're not even like following the same
Yeah.
characters or stories. I'm like, why? I don't know. But they changed the covers, so I need to track down. So I have the original covers of books 1 and 3. So at some point, I need to like go on eBay and track down a matching cover for book 2 because they changed the covers before I bought it.
Are you talking about the Inheritance?
Uh-huh.
See, I don't even know what the covers look like.
Well,
I know
so
the
the
first
original
one.
covers have more of like a fantasy kind of look to them,
Mhm.
and then they changed them a couple years back to look more similar to the Broken Earth Trilogy covers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did not know that.
Yep.
Okay, my computer.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
oh, that's right. There was Bind Up for Dreamblood. That's only 2 books, though.
Mm.
Interesting. Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you guys all for joining. It's been fun getting to read them again, and they're still so good. They hold up really well. It's
Yeah.
reading.
Yeah.
Like, not every series does.
They're just excellent writing and just really clever.
Yeah.
Mhm. Like,
And that's another reason why I do feel like it was so much fun together, because it is not a super simple series. So it
Mhm.
was fun.
yeah, it makes you think, which I do love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
I like a good buddy read.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It definitely pushes me through, I will say.
Well, I mean, same. That's part of why I like doing stuff like this, is because it like actually keeps me committed to like read stuff. It'll hold up forever. Look.
Adrienne said that she was going to tab the Inheritance trilogy.
Mhm.
One color to separate each book.
For that big bind up. of the 3 books.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. Like, I can only imagine y'all holding that up. Like, I know you must have like sprained y'all's little thumbs and stuff.
It was rough.
Kudos.
Yeah.
When I see books like that, I personally I do not like bind ups like that.
No, me either. Yay. Oh yeah, Beth, that'll be fun. The Blade Itself. Yeah. For my podcast, we're doing First Law book
Yes.
by Joe Abercrombie next year.
Yeah, I saw that you have like 2 different read-alongs that you're doing.
Yeah, I'm excited for them. It's fun. I like planning ahead. I also have like other littler ones throughout the year. I'm like I haven't like I'm tentatively planning. I want to do the Live Ship Trader series by Robin Hobb. So I'm kind of thinking I might do that like April, May, June. And then I've had some requests to do more Tamora Pierce. So I'm like thinking possibly I do the First Circle of Magic series. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
It's a fun quartet.
Yeah. I was like probably doing more than I should but it's fun. Yeah.
Literally today, for no apparent reason, I was trying to add up all the books you have to read for live shows, and I was just like,
oh, many.
Too much.
Many.
It's
okay.
too much.
I mean, I read a lot. It's okay.
I do.
Like,
it's
I'm
the
having
commitment that's the issue for me.
Like, I'm having an unusually slow reading month, and I've still read 20 books, so.
I wish I could read 20 books in a month. But my life and stuff will not let that happen.
It's okay. I mean, like,
One day.
My month has been, I was sick the first 2 weeks.
You sound sick now.
I
got sick
am not like 100%. My asthma is just not leveling off at all. But it's my fault because I kept forgetting to take my medicine. So,
gotta put an alarm on your phone, and then you hit snooze on the alarm until after you've actually physically taken the medicine. If you turn it off, like, yes, I'm getting up right now to go do that, won't happen.
So yeah.
Doesn't count.
But I honestly, this book and I think one other book that I've read this month.
Hey.
For me,
It's
this
not
is
bad.
a good month. I think I've read 12 or 13. So
the thing is too is it's like it's not about, I don't know, it's like, because I always feel like it's weird because like this is kind of my job, you know, at this point. And so I guess I just feel like the amount of time I spend reading because of that is different, but like reading period is great. Like I don't know, my husband has started reading more lately, which makes me so happy. But he might read like maybe a book every month or two, like, but still it's great.
Yeah, like my husband, like, well, he doesn't do physical books, but he does audiobooks, and I'm like, you know what, I'll just take that just for you.
I mean, look, I think
amazing.
It's great.
Like, he can't stand reading. I'm like, okay, try to listen to some audiobooks. And he's like, wow. I'm like, create this whole new world for me I didn't know about. I'm like, yeah.
Audiobooks are awesome. Yeah, no, I'm like happy. So it's fun. He's like slowly, like he's reading Fellowship of the Ring. Because I had done like the read-along, so he's like reading the first one, which is fun. So, yeah, I mean, all reading is good. Look, whatever works for you. And these are good read.
Yeah, they are compulsively readable.
They really are.
Yeah, I never felt like, even when I didn't understand what was going on, I still didn't feel bored, or I wasn't constantly putting the book down to pick up my phone or anything. Like, if I was reading it, I was really focused on it, and that's just not true for everything.
I love it. Look, Heather, you can be the new like spokesperson. Like, even I loved NK Jemisin.
Even I. And I can read it, you can read it.
Yeah, and literally everyone's right. Like, you're not going to get it right off the bat.
Right.
You're just not. And she does that on purpose.
It's on purpose.
So
if you're confused, you're supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah.
I just saw, I'm not going to say who it was, but it's somebody I don't really agree with. It's fine. You know, whatever. But they were on Goodreads and they were like, DNF after 50 pages. I have no idea what's going on. And I was like, you're not supposed to. So we'll see.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
you
sure
can
they just
trust
ignored
her.
me, but I was just
Yeah.
like, no, actually, no.
No.
And I think that's one of the things that makes her such a good writer and compulsively readable is that she doesn't give you all of the information right up front. She wants you to think about it and to work it out.
Yep.
And you just have to be patient. Not everything should be given to you.
Right.
Yeah.
I think some of it is what everybody said to me before I read it, so I was prepared, but also it never feels like she doesn't know what she's doing.
Right.
You know?
Right. You just
So,
know.
Yeah.
She knows where she's taking you. Yeah.
And it's not even like you can understand the scene you're in. You just don't see the whole picture. So it's never just like you have absolutely no idea what's happening. It's just you don't have the context. But you still understand like the chapter you're in.
See, this is the thing when I hear people be like, "Oh, it's just so difficult." And I'm like, "It's not really." Like, I mean, like the topics are complicated and like you can I don't know.
I think they're thinking too much into it, probably. They're like, oh my gosh, this is just overwhelming. It doesn't make sense. But
Well, and some of it is definitely whether you see it or not, how you see it or not. Do you understand what she's describing to you, or is it just another blurry face? I don't know.
Yeah. And her writing is amazing. Like I can only imagine like how when she wrote these books, how long it took for her to do this. Like literally make it how it is and how it goes back in the past and then goes into the future. Like you really have to have like she's a master at this.
Right.
Yep. Awesome. So before we wrap up, does anybody have anything they want to like talk about or promote that you're doing in the next couple months or whatever? I don't know. Just figure in case anybody does.
In the middle of December, I'm gonna post a video that says why Vlogmas is the worst. So, like, if you wanna, when you're halfway through Vlogmas and watching everybody, if you then want to come see me,
I don't disagree with you. So,
see, I did Vlogmas last year, and I'm debating if that took a lot of energy and time, and I don't know if I have that this year.
you guys tell me if I have lost my mind. Ashley's doing Vlogmas again. Did she not at the end of last Vlogmas say she was never doing it again?
Never gonna do it again.
Like,
yes, she did.
She 100% did. Did she say she's doing it again? What?
Yes, she has it all planned out.
She had it all planned out. She posted on her Instagram, like everything, like the songs and stuff.
It's all based on the songs.
Ashley, oh my god,
the graphics is done.
And last year, she was working from home too, and she's like, "This is how I'm doing it," but she's not anymore. I'm like, "What are you doing?" No. I'm gonna watch you burn out right before my eyes.
Oh my goodness.
I
did not know that. Well, all right. I will not be doing Vlogmas. I will continue to do my 2 to 3 videos a week.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna try to do. And I don't know. I wanted to read the 1619 Project, but I don't know.
I'm going to attempt Vlogmas. Not well. Let me rephrase. I'm going to attempt to do 12 days.
Okay.
Whether or not they will be 12 consecutive days.
As long as they're 12 days.
12 days count.
Yeah. So I'm going to try to do 12 days.
Okay.
Awesome. So
I know some people who are doing like every other day and stuff like that too. So it's more than their usual videos, but it's not literally every day. But it's all too much.
Yeah.
I don't know how I even did it last year, to be honest with you.
I mean,
last year was a blur altogether.
If I can get 12 videos out in December, there you have it.
That's great.
Like having 25 videos, like my gosh. I don't know.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
I think one year I might have done like 12 or something, or a week. It's just was a while ago.
If you can get through all those days and you have a lot of time on your hands.
Yeah.
I also just feel like I don't know. I guess I question it too, especially this year, because I feel like people are kind of after COVID a little bit burnt out on content and are being pickier about what they're watching anyway.
Mhm.
And Vlogmas just becomes like so much.
Mhm.
Right.
But then I know some people will say, like, how come I'm not getting all these views and stuff? It's like everybody's doing Vlogmas, so like everybody's trying to keep up with your content.
Right.
Adrienne, that's more like the 12 days question mark.
I mean, out of those 12 days, you could do like a live or a few lives or something.
I mean, that's content.
Yeah.
So fun.
Look, yeah. I mean, good for if she can crank that out. I mean, that's great.
Yeah.
You have to plan ahead. Like,
I'm not that organized.
Neither am I.
One day.
I am, but because I am always so organized, like the idea of doing that stresses me out.
I mean, you do a lot though, Bethany. Like,
do
I
a
can
lot.
only imagine.
Yeah.
you doing
I'm
a
like
lot.
I'm maxed out already. Like I do this, I have a podcast. I'm like, no, I can't. I can't.
Like for me, I feel like December is when I like take it easy on reading. Like to be honest, like I only do like maybe 4 or 5 maybe books.
Yeah.
But then
I'm
again,
planning on doing like the end of the year videos, like
Mm.
favorite, least favorite, all that stuff. So
yeah, anticipated reads of next year.
Oh yeah, that one too.
There's so many good books coming out next year.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. Where do you guys go for like your to see what books are coming out?
Sometimes
Do you just-
Goodreads will have it.
Goodreads.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and also there's people I follow who I know are really up on that, and so I'll look at their bookshelves and sort by publication date.
Oh.
That's the trick. Go to
Smart.
Goodreads and sort by publication date, and then you can see like when things are coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I read so much on my Kindle, if I go on my Kindle app too, it'll have upcoming releases for me, which is like all the authors are put on the Kindle, I swear. But because I read indie romances, like a lot of times they announce it a day before it comes out, the day it came out, a week before it came out. And so, and I do an anticipated releases video every month, and it's just the ones that I'm like, yeah, I very well possibly might pick it up the day it comes out. And every month, I like posted, I messaged some of the authors. I'm like, hey, you got anything? And every month there's like, oh wow, well, you're one of my go-tos, and I didn't know your book was coming out, so it wasn't in the video. Great. Okay, cool. I'm reading one right now, actually.
Oh man.
Oh my gosh.
This is an interesting question. Do you guys
Oh, well, I might put maybe like 5 to 10, maybe.
Okay.
I'm super lazy. I have never, and when I say super lazy, okay, so this is 2.5 years on BookTube for me. I have never done it.
Okay.
I don't have a
go
set
by,
number. Mine's just
I go by my star rating. If I gave the book 5 stars, then I will put it. So I don't have a number.
Yeah.
Like a
yeah,
cat.
mine is a very small percentage of my 5 stars. I give out a lot of 5 stars, to be honest.
I'm very stingy with my 5 stars.
So am I.
Not me.
I'm not. I've gotten slightly more stingy, but I'm not that stingy. Well, but I separate it and I do like a 6-star rating for my favorite books of the year.
Right.
This is the thing though. I do end of year content like the entire month of January. So like I will have best of 2021, like
The worst
of sci-fi, worst of the year, favorite.
Right.
Like I just like I'll make the bed. I gotta like sit and actually like list out which videos I want to make this year, and then I'll do like most anticipated in different genres and stuff. But yeah, I don't have like a set number. I like 20 is not is probably wouldn't be uncommon for me.
I probably wouldn't have more than 20 ever, but I also don't force myself to leave this one off because I can only have 10 or add this one because I'm trying to have 15. Like it's whatever. But I always do favorite novellas, favorite new to me authors, and also favorite books.
Yeah. Like I think for me, it depends on my connection with the book and how I really felt when I was reading it and what, So there's that.
I don't count rereads unless it's a book that I haven't read since I was a teenager, maybe. Like if it's been that long since I've read it, I might count it, but otherwise I do not count rereads. What about you guys? And favorites list?
I don't count rereads.
I would only count it, and even then it would be a bit of a caveat, but I only count it if I remembered so little about the book that it is almost like reading it for the first time. Like I knew I read it, but I couldn't have told you 8 out of 10 of the plot points, right?
Yeah.
But like the favorite of the year, there wouldn't be a reread on that.
I have one this year because I had been so much younger when I read it, but I put Fellowship of the Ring on my favorites list this year. But I think I was like 15 when I read it. I'm gonna be 35 next year, so I'm like,
experience.
I think I can make it my favorite.
For sure.
Yeah.
I have not. I don't include rereads even on my Goodreads or Storygraph.
Really interesting.
I don't, because there are a couple that I reread every couple of years. Like Jane Eyre is one. So I don't include those really, unless it's something that I haven't read in quite a while.
Interesting.
Is there like one book like you guys are highly anticipating on next year? If you could name one.
Katie Robert has a book that's The Dragon's Bride, something like that. It's a monster romance. The cover's great. That's it. That's what I've got. Looking forward to it.
I was actually just looking at 2022. Wow. Yeah. 2022.
Don't think about it too hard.
We're in 2021, right? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. You're right. You're right.
It's been a rough week. I was just looking at them and I can't remember not a single book that I am interested in.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, I have a lot of things I'm excited about, but I'm really excited for both of Tasha Suri's books next year. So we're getting the sequel to The Jasmine Throne, and we're getting her YA remix of Wuthering Heights.
I saw the cover, and I'm like, oh my god,
I'm so excited. Those are definitely up there for me.
I'm really looking forward to A Comb of Wishes by Lisa Stringfellow. It's a middle grade Black Mermaid story from what I remember.
Oh.
I'm trying to remember when. I think it comes out like earlier in the year. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
I am really excited for the sequel to Finley Donovan is Killing It. I think it's Finley Donovan Knocks Him Dead. It's a mystery. I really liked it, and it's like so compulsively readable that I'm dying to read the next one.
Yeah.
Have it on my TBR because
I'm gonna retract statements because I was just looking at one of the lists and came across the sequel to Amari.
Oh yeah.
That's really
for me. There's so many for me, but I know like one of them would be like Bloodmarked, the second book for Legendborn.
Oh yeah.
Tracy Beyond.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot of good good
There's
books
a
coming
lot.
out. Like I don't even know how I'm gonna they're all coming out mostly like consecutively. So it's like I don't know how I'm gonna catch up with that.
I know. I'm excited to like put together lists because that's always fun. I like doing different videos for genres of like romance most anticipated, sci-fi
What?
fantasy.
You
most
love a
anticipated.
list? Who could have seen this?
Shocking, I know.
It's just so out of character.
So out of character for me, right? Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. No, there's a lot of good stuff coming out. It'll be fun. Yeah, and Fevered Star, like the sequel to Black Sun. Yeah. I'm
Oh,
excited.
yeah.
I do not like that cover.
I don't either. It's a terrible cover.
Yeah,
I
I
agree.
just finished Black Sun and I loved it.
Oh yeah.
So good. It's so
I
good. I need to do a
like
reread. Oh my gosh.
Raphael, all that. I'm like, oh
Yeah. I know. Oh. Oh.
Wait, what's wrong with the Favorite Star cover? I kind of like it.
it doesn't. Are you saying it doesn't match with like the first book cover? Like, were you trying to get something?
It's not. No, it's not even that. That would be like River of Royal Blood or whatever. Those
just
two
don't-
covers.
Oh, yeah, didn't they like
Hard
switch
back.
the cover artist like halfway through the series?
Yeah, it looks like they just switched the cover artist, and
Yeah.
they didn't have the same. They weren't on the same page.
No. I'm like, what happened?
Yeah.
Like in the comments, Shamla even stated like, "Who do you think is on the cover?" And she said Narafa. Maybe.
Which series are you talking about?
Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. Like the
Mhm.
second book is coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh yeah, this was a question, right? I have favorites that I've read many times. Yes.
I
mean,
know
not
when I
many,
was a kid, like I always had access to books, but it was not limitless, right?
Yeah.
One, my reading was pretty censored by my parents, but two, like we were dirt poor. We read from libraries or like the book was a quarter or or something like that. So we went through and my sister and I both read a ton. So we would go through what was available to us pretty quickly. So any favorites we reread all the time.
Yeah, same. I was thinking about this recently. I was like, I probably partly collect books now as a trauma response to my child.
I can see that. I mean, I was pretty privileged, but my parents took me to the library, so I didn't have like buying books was not a thing.
No.
They would buy books, but it was not like what I have a room here and a room there that has books.
Mhm.
So I can see that.
Yeah.
As you said, Bethany, kind of a trauma response. Now that you have your own money, you're gonna buy and collect and hoard.
I know, like for me, when I was growing up, my mom took me to our independent bookstore, and she's like, and she was she still does this. She's like, she always give me black author books. She says you should definitely always support Black authors no matter what you do, and it's still true to this very day. You should still support Black authors.
That's awesome.
So, and that's how I just fell in love with reading, and now I do collections too now because
Yeah.
sometimes it's like an impulse buy.
We did libraries a lot also, and I always have read a lot of books. So but yeah, it was the library growing up and buying books like Christmas or birthdays. I might get a couple books or something, but it wasn't common. I had forgotten until people started talking about it on TikTok. Did you guys have the Scholastic book fairs when you were a kid?
Yes,
Yeah.
my daughter just had hers last week.
I never got to buy anything at them. I would pore over the things that they would send home with us to like think about like, oh, what could I find at the library? But I didn't get to buy books at the Scholastic Fair. My parents were like, no, we have the library. Why would we buy you books?
I think I only did that once. And then my parents were like, yeah, we're not going to do this again.
Yeah.
They indulged once.
Yeah.
I only had a certain amount of money. Like they would only give me like $10, and they're like, "Okay, this is it. You better utilize it."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's also like books that are like just kind of like cash grabs on like nostalgic franchises. Like I know they did like the Shrek 2 adaptation was a book, and I was like, can I get this? Or like Spy Kids like spin-off series, and I'm like, can I get this? My parents were obviously like, no, that's not a good use of your money.
Your parents, they're teaching you good money management skills.
My kids love their shows as books, and they're like PJ Masks and Ninjago and stuff like that, or even Minecraft. But
Minecraft.
Or Star Wars even. They are the worst written books. They're just like weird little breakdowns of like the episodes. Like it's not a well-written story at all. They are the worst children's books of all time. I hate them so much. So much.
It's like finding things that are good mix. Okay, you know what I got that was actually one of the 50% off books today at Barnes & Noble was Where the Sidewalk Ends by Charles Silverstein. And I like today was reading some of them with my kids, and they were so into it. They were like, these are funny. So I'm like, okay, win.
Maybe Where the Sidewalk Ends is just, it's a phenomenal.
Yeah.
Love it. Recommend it. If you haven't read it, you need to read it.
I don't think I
hadn't really read that many of them, but they're funny. It's poems, but written for kids, and they're entertaining. Like I think your kids would probably enjoy them.
Okay.
Like together.
All right.
Give it a try. Wow. Okay. Oh no. Look at that. Yeah. There's some good stuff. So. All right, guys. Well, we're at like the 2-hour mark, so I know we don't want the series to end, but sadly.
She left it awfully open-ended, though. Who knows?
Yeah. Makes me question, like,
yeah, there's room for like what else? But that also speaks so much, I think, to her world building abilities that it feels like a real world with like a history and a future and like, you know?
Yeah.
Awesome.
It would be interesting if she did another book or a novella or a short story. So,
yeah.
Anyway,
I would request a novella about the time in me off for those nice 5 minutes when Essen was happy.
5 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hard agree.
Maybe like a Christmas novella, not Christmas, but whatever holiday, like a winter holiday novella.
For the whole 5 minutes.
And it was like 3 sentences too. And they were happy and we're skipping that part.
Yeah.
Hope you're not too mad at me. Like that was the whole thing.
Oh man, yeah. That would be nice. All right.
Interesting.
Yep. Yes, it is a ride. I'm glad we did this. Well, thanks everybody.
Yes.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Take care, everybody. Thanks for having me.